people are looking for justice.
Are you here for 1MDB trial?
Biggest corruption cases ever.
As part of the raid, inside here they found 12,000 pieces of jewelry, luxury handbag, watches, and cash. This is the world's biggest financial scandal, like ever. It started in Malaysia, but it involves Hollywood, Wall Street, and even Kim Kardashian.
Prosecutors have said $4.5 billion was stolen from the 1MDB fund.
Malaysia's prime minister was at the center of it all, and now he's in jail.
Has lost his final bid to overturn his 12-year prison sentence. He's been sent to jail.
And in court once again for more corruption charges.
I've come to the High Court where he's expected to arrive any second.
His wife used money to buy herself a $27 million diamond, and she was just sentenced to jail too. They pulled off a corruption scandal like the world has never seen.
Investigators have called it one of the biggest corruption cases ever.
The name is 1MDB, which stands for One Malaysia Development Berhad.
8th floor of this building is where the 1MDB offices were.
1MDB was supposed to be a fund which takes public money and invests it abroad to turn it into more money. This is something very common for countries to do. But this money wasn't being invested. It was being used to fund Hollywood movies, gift celebrities, and funneled into the Prime Minister's other bank accounts so that he could finance his re-election campaigns. But in a scandal of this size, you can bet there are a lot of people involved, some of whom we may never know. But the mastermind behind this entire thing is Jho Low.
This is it. This is where Jho Low lived.
He used Malaysia's government money to suck up to the biggest celebrities, gifting Kim Kardashian a $325,000 white Ferrari and Picasso paintings to Leonardo DiCaprio, which has since been turned over to the US Department of Justice.
But the guy who gifted the Ferrari to Kim Kardashian, as of today, he's missing.
Where is Jho Low?
Oh, only God knows.
Instead of keeping quiet, I decided to speak up.
That's Syed Saddiq. He's a member of parliament and he was the youngest minister in Malaysia's history.
I knew that the 1MDB scandal was real, it's not fake, it's not propped up, it's real. Billions were being siphoned off into the personal account of the Prime Minister.
He tells me he was working in the Prime Minister's office when...
You say they threatened you, pressured you, what exactly happened?
I've come to Malaysia to understand just how exactly they pulled off the biggest financial scandal of all time.
The elite eating into our economic pie. And
behind me is ultimately where people are looking for justice over those billions of dollars and years of corruption.
Many people are suffering, and yet the public money is being used to buy the most expensive of jewelries in the world and funding the most expensive of parties.
And could this happen again?
What are your thoughts about the trial?
That's Umi Deva. She is a banker at AmBank, the bank that Najib Razak used for the 1MDB accounts. She claims she was unsure if a settlement involved the former Prime Minister's personal bank accounts. And then there's Gopal Sriram, who is the prosecutor against the former Prime Minister.
He just pulled up in his Rolls Royce.
I find it quite fascinating that he pulls up in a Rolls Royce, which costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. But then again, this is a country where its Prime Minister was able to use public money to buy over 500 handbags, 400 watches, and a $27 million diamond. And then the ex-Prime Minister himself shows up. As of now, he recently began serving his 12-year sentence.
This is the courthouse where he is. He's currently in this courthouse behind me, undergoing trial.
But how did it come to this?
It's very complicated.
To understand this scandal, let's head back to 2009. A few months after Najib becomes Prime Minister, he launched the 1MDB Fund. This is the building where the 1MDB office was, and it was in 2010 where they actually threw an event to commemorate the opening. But the mastermind behind this scandal is known as Jho Low. Forbes called him the Asian Great Gatsby, and essentially said he paid Leonardo DiCaprio to be his friend.
This is it. This is where Jho Low lived.
And just 5 years later, an investigation is opened into the nature of the 1MDB Fund. The Wall Street Journal drops a report that almost $700 million of the fund was going into the Prime Minister's minister's personal bank account.
I was working for the minister in the Prime Minister's office in charge of law. When I knew that the 1MDB scandal was real, it's not fake, it's not propped up, it's real, billions were being siphoned off into the personal account of the Prime Minister then, instead of keeping quiet, I decided to speak up. I was investigated for committing sedition. I mean, they can threaten us, but the good thing about young people, the more they push us, the more we push back.
But in 2016, Malaysia's Attorney General clears its Prime Minister of wrongdoing, saying that $681 million of his account was simply a donation from Saudi royal family members. And Saudi Arabia backed up that claim. Then in 2017, the US Justice Department states that more than $4 billion was taken out of 1MDB from high-level officials. In 2018, Najib Razak loses an election, and it's an unexpected defeat. The new leader immediately opens an investigation into 1MDB, and the police raid Najib Razak's home, finding hundreds of millions of dollars. This is the building that was raided. As part of the raid, inside here they found 12,000 pieces of jewelry, luxury handbag, watches, and cash. Weeks later, he was arrested and charged with corruption. Later that year, Malaysia's government filed charges against Goldman Sachs, saying that they misled investors over bond sales that were more than $6 billion. In 2019, a trial against the former prime minister began, and the following year, Goldman Sachs agreed to pay nearly $4 billion for its role in the scandal, and its former prime minister would be found guilty of fraud and sentenced to jail. But despite dozens of criminal charges against him, he still had a large popularity and fan base.
For me, Najib is okay. He's okay. He's very good prime minister.
Several people I interview here trust the court systems though.
He is a prime minister, so whatever he did, he must responsible.
Fast forward to today, he's in jail, but again, back in court.
But Jho Low, he's missing.
He claims he is innocent and blames the investigation simply on politics. And while Jho Low is wanted by international police and faces trial in Malaysia and the US, it's believed he is hiding in China. And despite taking billions of dollars, until 2018, it was believed he was actively involved in business in Hong Kong.
How would you describe Jho Low?
He's someone who could only exist because structures of power in Malaysia allow for him to exist. He's a power broker. If our institutions were strong enough, he will have no power. If our Prime Minister was right and conscionable, he could never exist. But because of the system which exists in Malaysia, which is weak, corrupt, and a Prime Minister which is susceptible to corruption, someone like Jho Low could exist.
Last year, the US said it's found and brought back more than $1 billion of funds from banks and real estate and sent it back to the people of Malaysia. Meanwhile, one of Malaysia's youngest politicians, Said, says he wants to clean up the corruption in his country, which might be a challenge considering right now he is facing his own corruption trial related to money laundering, which he tells me he is innocent and says the accusations are politically motivated.
Tomorrow, if you don't change the system, it will be Jho Low 2.0 and Jho Low 3.0. There can be many other people who fit his shoes, who will be able to satisfy his master, which is a Prime Minister who needs billions of ringgit in his personal account. So that's why to me it's not about Jho Low and Najib Razak only. It is about changing our system for good so that there will no longer be Jho Low 2.0 or Najib Razak 2.0.